What's up, super players? It's your homie C-Rod, and today I got one of the most hype decks in set 12, Shroom and Salsa. This deck is really fun. I broke my head trying to make this deck very powerful and viable, and I got great news. My first deck build of Shroom and Salsa is actually really powerful, and that's because the leader is powerful himself. So let's get straight into what the leader does. Shroom and Salsa, when it attacks, you're able to draw one card, right? Basic, generic, auto. But when you combo a black card, you're able to choose one of your opponent's battle cards that is in their drop area and send it to the warp. And it's not over yet, guys. And if there is no target to send from the drop to the warp, you're able to draw an additional card. So this guy is full on pressure and destroying your opponent's drop area. That right there is key. But it's not over yet. He still has an amazing awakening ability that if your life is at 4 or less, which is pretty generic, or if your opponent has 4 or more cards in their warp zone, you're able to awaken, draw one card, restand an energy, and flip them over. And that right there is awesome to awaken no matter how many lives you have. And go into Shroom and Salsa, Might of the Demon Gods. He has the same 2 autos. When he attacks, he draws. When you combo black card, he sends cards from the drop to their warp, and you get an additional draw if there's no target, right? But now he has an activate main that for 1 energy, if your opponent has no battle cards in their drop, you're able to bring out any 2-cost Evil Wizard, Demon Realm Race, or Demon card with an energy cost of 2 or less from your deck or hand and play it out onto the field. That right there is really useful. And now let's get into all the demon evil wizards in the deck. So let's start off with our 1-drop play, right? We got Toa, Dimensional Convoker. So this is our 1-drop that we want to bring out. It searches the top 5 for any of the demon cards / evil wizard cards, and that right there is pretty useful for turn 1. But also an activate main that if your leader is black, which it is, you're able to play 1 skillless demon god card with an energy with 15k power from your deck or drop area. And we're only running 1 battle card with 15k power, and it happens to be Shroom. So this is going to be our target. It's just a 15k vanilla. Pretty much that's it. Alright, it's not over yet, guys. Now let's talk about the combo play with that vanilla. So after you attack with Shroom, you have Shroom, a new demon god. If you have it in your hand, for 1 energy activate main, you could choose one of your black skillless cards, bounce it back to your hand, and play this card out onto the field. And now you have a 20k battle card. Plus an auto that when he attacks, he continues the theme of sending cards from your opponent's drop area to the warp because he sends a battle card to the warp. And if there is no targets to send to the warp, you're able to send one of your opponent's battle cards to the warp instead. That right there is pretty clean to remove any of your opponent's problematic cards on the field. So that's one of our removal cards. Then we also are going to be running the 1-drop Toa, Twisted Sister, which is a counterplay that you're able to play when your opponent plays something, obviously, and you draw a card, and then you shuffle one of your opponent's cards in their drop area back into their deck. Very awesome card to keep the theme of, having little to no cards in your opponent's drop. Then, since we're talking about Toa, let's talk about this Toa. Toa, a twisted secret maneuver. So this Toa right here is able to search the top 5 for a demon realm race when it attacks or when it is played. Pretty useful for pressure and searching and plussing. That's pretty much it why we want her. But we are running Toa not just for that, but we're running her for this ability right here, which is Toa Dark Sorceress. It has Deflect, it has Xeno Evolve for 1 energy. If you send a Toa with an energy cost of 2 or more from the field to the warp, you're able to Xeno Evolve, play her, and then she has an auto to draw a card and then shuffle 4 battle cards from your opponent's drop back into the deck. That right there is very, very key in order to be able to utilize all the awesome abilities like the Shroom or obviously your leader. So you definitely want to take full advantage of your opponent having almost nothing in the drop. So let's talk about one of the ideal turn 2 plays, which is Chain Attack Gravy. So you definitely want to have Gravy out on the field, because when Gravy is on the field and your leader happens to be one of the Demon God leaders, you're able to draw a card every single time you combo one of the Evil Wizard, Demon Realm Race, or Demon God cards. Pretty much any of the evil guys in this deck, you're going to be able to draw a card. So combine Chain Attack Gravy with our leader, we're going to be plussing a lot every time we combo. Also, if this card is removed from the field by a skill, you can send a card from your opponent's drop area to the warp, which is very, very useful to utilize all the awesome abilities of Shroom and Salsa. So that is that. And you know what? Let's talk about the other vanilla, which happens to be Gravy. It's just a 2-cost vanilla 20k attacker, but we have him on the field because we are running our Playmaker, which happens to be Machikabura, the King's Summons. Now this card has an activate main for 2 energies. You discard this card and you discard a life by placing it in the drop area. Then you're able to play up to 2 black cards with Evil Wizard or Demon Realm Race with an energy cost of 2 and different names from your deck onto the field. You cannot activate this ability a lot. You can only do it once per turn. But you're going to be able to bring out multiple different targets like Gravy if you want a 20k vanilla to go into Salsa, or Shroom if you want to have that vanilla to, you know, do that awesome play where you swap and bounce cards back. Or you could get Toa. There's a lot of different targets. You could get any of the 2-cost cards onto the field to pressure. And that right there is pretty darn aggro. Now, talking about Salsa, we got Salsa right here, the new Demon God. So Salsa comes out with an activate main for 1 energy, just like the Shroom. You bounce it back to your hand, bring this guy out, and after you bounce back one of your skill lists, it's able to attack and also remove battle cards from your opponent's drop area by sending them to the warp. And if there are no targets, you're able to spam out and choose 1 black evil guy. You know, when I say evil guy, it means any of the Evil Wizard / Demon God guys, because it's gonna say it takes too long to say all of them. Any of the evil guys, you're able to pretty much bring them out from your hand onto the field or drop area onto the field if they have an energy cost of 2 or less. So this guy's gonna definitely cause some serious pressure by swarming the field with all the evil guys, or Evil Wizards / Demon Realm Race guys. You know what I'm saying. So yeah, this card's actually very useful. Then obviously I wanted to have some removal, so I went with Demon God Demigra, True Power Unleashed, Overrealm, Dark Overrealm for 2 energies. It's Overrealm 5, so you need to send 5 from the drop to the warp. Bring this guy out, you draw a card, and also on top of that, you send one of your opponent's battle cards to the warp. And on top of that, when he attacks, every single time your opponent's gonna have to warp 1 card from their hand. That right there is just nuts. Ultimate pressure removal. Then we have Power Burst as our negate, because, you know, it's one of the best counters for the blacks. Negates an attack, get a 1-drop from your drop or warp to your hand. Or you could Sparking 5 and activate it and take a life. That right there is pretty cool. Then we also have the Dark Power Black Mass Saiyan. It's a 1-drop, could allow you to self-awaken when you attack, take a life, 15k attacker. And if your opponent happens to have a deck that swarms the field with battle cards 15k or less, you're able to just force them to discard 2 cards. That right there is pretty darn clutch. Then I added the super combo, obviously. SS Vegeta, the Prince Strikes Back. Get a 10k boost, get 1 card from your hand, under your deck, draw 2, one of the best combos for the black, without a doubt. Then our boss card, the finisher, which is the Dark Mask King Devilish Dominator. Now this card is awesome. This card is the game sealer. It's deflect, triple strike, and he has an auto that when this card attacks, you're able to send 2 battle cards from your opponent's drop to the warp, and if your opponent happens to have 10 or more cards in their warp, you're able to switch this card back to active mode. So in essence, it's technically a dual attack, and it also has an auto that if your opponent activates a counter during this guy's battle, you're able to send one of their lives to the warp. Either way, it's going to steal life. And you bring it out turn 4 with the activate main, which is for 4 energies. If your leader is black and your opponent has 3 or more cards in their warp, you're able to play this card out. So without a doubt, you're going to bring them out turn 4 to go for game with a triple strike dual attack. And that is the boss card. And I also added for some spice the secret rare. Let me add them right here. The secret rare Demigra. Over round 5, you combo so much, you might eventually have enough cards to actually triple strike your opponent to their death. You attack with this guy, triple strike, see your opponent's hand, and combo with them. Worst case scenario, you steal cards out of their hand. And last but not least, I ended up adding double strike out of nowhere, which is the hidden power E Supreme Kai. Just, double strike your opponent and win. So this is the deck. Hopefully you guys like it. Subscribe if you are new here, and let me know what other decks you guys want to see. If you guys want to see this gameplay of this deck, make sure to subscribe, and I will throw it out eventually. And if it could get eventually over like a couple likes, I'll definitely, without a doubt, drop it. So without further ado, y'all stay super.
I'm number 1, no in betweens. Always pull up with my Android 18.